Ruslan.
Amazing turn of events. The rapper formerly known as Boonk, who is going by John Gabbana now, appears to have gotten saved. It's actually really cool. He posted it on his YouTube page, and it's a very emotional video. I wanted to react to some of it. I've reached out to him on Instagram just to encourage him, and I recommend everybody do the same. This is somebody that was very known for stunts, doing wild, debaucherous stuff, illicit drug use. The last time I really remember hearing about him was two things that happened. He was on Adam 22 and he fell out and like hit his head against a wall and almost like completely passed out. And then there was a situation where he got his jaw broken really bad, just like at the park in some drama. Somebody walked up to him. It seemed like it wasn't confrontational, and then he got his jaw broken and he had to get surgery, and it was on social media. It was wild, 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 wild stuff. So there was those two last situations. Then he kind of went dark. I think he went to jail. I'm not sure, but I believe that's what was happening. And then he reappears seemingly out of nowhere and goes into some of these different, this story about him finding God, I think, in prison. So I wanted to react to it. I wanted to give him some props. John, if you ever want to come on the channel, I'd love to have you on the channel. We're going to be talking about this clip right here. There's two parts of this clip, and then I'll give you guys my thoughts on the situation. I think it's pretty incredible. So he's very emotional, and it's just heads up that you could tell that this is, either he's like an incredible method actor, or like this is a real situation for him finding God. So let's check this clip out real quick.
It wasn't just me. It was God. God giving me the tools, the signs to even spiritually grow. God helping me survive when I felt like I couldn't. God helping me be strong when I felt like I was weak. God giving me the strength to move forward. I felt like I couldn't. And I made it seem like it was just me. It was just me by myself, and I know it wasn't. And it was really selfish of me.
So, I mean, he's out the gate, like a few minutes in, he starts the video and he's just like, I wasn't planning on crying, and just starts sobbing, right? And then he goes in and he gets more particular, gets more specific with some of the details. He was talking about there how he was going through all this stuff and he thought it was all about him, and it wasn't, right? And so here he goes into some of the particulars on his encounter.
When I was in jail, he first started teaching me about the Bible.
This is Rumi in jail.
It was a humbling experience. It was real humbling, because me learning about the power of Jesus and how humble he was with so much power he had really made me humble myself.
That's good. He said, me learning about the power of Jesus and how humble he was, considering he had all the power, made me humble myself. That's beautiful.
Knowing how much fame I had, but how I carried myself. It wasn't how Jesus carried himself. I was carrying myself in a cocky manner, like I was a shit, and like everybody should be bowing down to me and everything like that. That's how I used to. It was just evil. I had wicked energy, but learning about the stories of Jesus and how humble he was, it really made me humble myself, right? And so
that's dope. So then he shares some more here. This is a 20-minute video. You guys should go watch it, subscribe. Lead this man some encouragement. He is gonna get roasted in the media. He is gonna get dismissed as crazy. And unfortunately, a lot of Christians who aren't going to take the time to hear him out are also going to dismiss him as like, oh, this is what they do. They go become gospel rappers when their career is over. You're going to get some of that. So those of us that are here that believe in Jesus, like, love on this dude, man. Love on this dude.
Feeling my vibrations raise, my vibrations get higher. It's been teaching me how to grow, but it leaves out God.
So he was talking about, he was reading all these self-help books about raising your vibrations and your thoughts and all that kind of stuff. He said, but they were leaving out God. And this is really cool, man.
And Father, I just wanna stand in front of you.
It's literally just 20 minutes of him sobbing. Like, it's really
I
powerful.
bow down in front of you.
And he goes into a prayer. How cool is this?
I want to ask that you forgive me.
It's crazy, man. So, whoo, yeah, man. That's wild. So, shout out to him. Definitely gonna be praying for him. Again, I've reached out to him. Lecrae's reached out to him. I shot him a DM. I saw Lecrae, I think, shot him a DM or left a comment on the post. He has some little snippets of some new Christian music he's working on. It sounds cool. Oddly enough, his music wasn't bad. I mean, like, the content was very dark, but he was one of them dudes that was a part of this like new wave of rappers that actually kind of has some wavy music. It was kind of cool. And now, you know, I hope that there's some good brothers around him. I know he's in Atlanta shooting this video, so it'd be dope if he maybe connected with some of the Reach guys, or specifically Lecrae. I know Lecrae has a lot of relationship with a lot of these dudes who are in the industry. So I was like, man, this is cool. I wanted to highlight this. I wanted to encourage him. I wanted to encourage you guys that you don't know what people are going through behind the scenes. You don't know how God could be drawing people onto himself, reconciling people onto himself, wrecking people, allowing people to get wrecked, to then, you know, they come back to him. It's really wild, and I think 2020 has showed us this situation that there's all kinds of folks that are coming to the Lord, and I think that's amazing, and I think we should rejoice for these types of situations, because I think they're super encouraging. So let me know what you guys think about this situation. I really do want to hear from you guys.
Kingstream Entertainment, Ruslan.
I wanted to talk about this story that is really sad in so many different ways that I'm just completely disappointed with. I don't even know how to jump into this, but Lil Wayne, all in the last week, has pled guilty to federal gun charges, gotten sued by his ex-manager, and sold his masters to Universal. Okay. Any artist selling their masters, you're giving up your control. You're giving up something that's extremely powerful. It is an asset, even for him. So to sell them for $100 million, that may sound like a quick come up, but his masters, over the course of his life and beyond his life, could be worth billions potentially. I don't know, right? But if Universal gave him $100 million, that means that it's probably worth more than that to them, right? So he sells his masters. He gets sued by his managers, and he pleads guilty to federal gun charges. Now, you guys don't know, Lil Wayne has been in jail before on catching a gun case in New York, and here are just some of the headlines. They're all over. Lil Wayne pleads guilty to federal gun charges. Lil Wayne pleads guilty to federal gun charges. He could face up to 10 years in prison. He's getting sued by his former manager for more than $20 million. He sold his masters for $100 million. This is all over the media. This is all within the same week. Now, why did I want to talk about the Lil Wayne situation? Well, because listen, in the last video we did with regards to Boonk coming to faith, these situations influence each other. They connect, and this is what I mean. I told you guys, I say this all the time. Wisdom is proven right by her children. Wisdom is proven right by children. I don't have any type of fervent need to try to convince people of the ways of God, or to even necessarily like be the guy to give some kind of defense for the faith. I think that's healthy, and I think we should know those things. But I think wisdom is proven right by children. That when you walk in a life where you're walking with Jesus, overall, it's going to work out for you. You may not be rich and famous. You may not have every material possession you want. But overall, it's going to work out better in your self-interest, because now you're under the Father's covering. And that's a beautiful thing. And so Wayne, who's extremely talented, been been an artist for a very long time, been successful for a very long time, just won like a $50 million lawsuit against Birdman. It just appears to just have squandered the entire situation away. Like, he's gonna lose his freedom, he's potentially gonna lose money, and he doesn't own his masters anymore, which, yes, he gets a $100 million payout. But at that rate, I mean, the pace that he's living, the amount of people he's supporting, it's not going to last very long. Now, why am I sharing this story? Well, when I saw the story of the news breaking that his managers wanted $20 million, they were suing him from, by the way, this is now happening with Chance. Remember, Chance's ex-manager just sued him for $3 million. I remembered Wayne's manager, and Wayne's manager was a dude named Cortez Bryant. And Cortez Bryant, I had met at South by Southwest. South by Southwest is a big music festival in Austin, Texas. This is the year 2012, 2013. I don't remember what year it was, but I was at South by Southwest. I recognized Cortez Bryant because I was watching the Carter documentary. There was a leaked documentary that they did not want coming out called The Carter, and it was about Lil Wayne, and they scrapped it, or they tried to scrap it, and somehow the documentary came out and there was a leaked version, and I watched it. And I remember a scene in this documentary where Cortez Bryant, who was Wayne's manager and DJ at the time, basically more or less confronted him about his wild drug use and just his debaucherous behavior. And it created tension between them to the point where Cortez had to ride on his own tour bus outside of the entire entourage because him and Wayne had so much friction on tour because he was the only person in Lil Wayne's life to confront him on this stuff. Right, to confront him on this stuff. And so I see Tez at South by Southwest. I come up to him, we start chopping it up, and I was like, bro, I just want to commend you, like kudos to you for standing up. And in the documentary, he said something about faith or God, and we started talking about God and faith, and he was like, yeah, bro, like, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer. And I was like, Tez, you're a believer? Like, how does that work with you, like, managing Lil Wayne, right? Like, how does that work? And he told me this, and I reached out to him recently just to tap in with him, and he told me this, and he said, man, if I wasn't in Wayne's life, he would have been dead. And I was like, whoa, like, that's some heavy stuff that, to think about that. And he's like, listen, man, this music industry is hard, but I really believe that God put me here to protect this dude from himself in a lot of ways. And there's a lot of wild stuff that goes on, but this is what I know. This is what I've been a part of. I'm trying to reconcile all this stuff. And, hey, listen, if it wasn't for me, Wayne would have been dead. I was like, man, that's crazy. And then he gave me a lot of game. Tez sat there. This is like right as Drake was really starting to blow. Right. Drake had already had a couple records out. He gave me a bunch of game and how they blew Drake up and how they used their own money and like a lot of really interesting things. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, this is crazy that there's so many believers in the industry that I'm meeting. It's the same weekend, the first time I had met Kendrick, and me and Kendrick are busting it up about the Lord. You meet Tez, and it's just debauchery. Like, South by Southwest is wild, right? Like, it's wild. And you got these guys self-identifying as Christians who are in these really, 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 I don't know how else to say it, dark occupations, right? Like, I don't know. But this is like Lil Wayne's day one. So as I'm researching this situation, I realized that Wayne fired Tez a year ago. He fired Tez a year ago, right? Because he felt like whatever situation wasn't being handled right with the baby situation. And Tez did a really fire podcast, I think with Rap Radar, where they went over all the details of the Birdman Lil Wayne situation before the lawsuit was finalized. If you guys want to look it up, I think it was a Rap Radar podcast with Tez. Tez is brilliant, by the way, from a marketing standpoint. I mean, he really took Lil Wayne to the next level. As you guys know, Lil Wayne does none of his own business, right? But Tez really took him to the next level. He's the one that helped discover Drake and helped sign Drake and made sure that Drake got a good deal. He told me I don't know if this is true, but he told me that Drake had a 25-75% split with Universal Cash Money. 25-75% split because they used their own money. He said, we scraped together our own money. We got the single popping at radio. And because we got the single popping at radio, then when we went, we always knew we were going to sign with Cash Money, Young Money. But once we got the single popping, we had the leverage to get whatever kind of deal we wanted. And he said they got a 75-25% split in Drake's direction, which I was like, goodness. So I say all this to say, Tez is a good dude. Right? I don't know if I could ever be in a position to stand next or behind a Lil Wayne and DJ all of his shows. But Tez was a good dude, right? And if you know anything about Cortez Bryant, you easily find out that like he seems like a solid individual, regardless on, how you view these things in terms of him, managing a Lil Wayne. And then to find out that he was fired a year ago, and then these other guys stepped in that were kind of like the day-to-day assistants, more or less. I think I'm not 100% sure, and those are the actual two managers that are suing Wayne for $20 million. It's not even Tez, who's been there with him since day one, because Tez was let go a year ago. Wild situation. But it just goes to show, man. It just goes to show that, listen, a certain degree of fame, a certain degree of notoriety, and you aren't functioning in your right mind. You have every drug accessible to you. You have every woman accessible to you. And you're going to end up a lot of times in one of two places. You're going to end up in jail like Lil Wayne, or you're going to end up really badly hurt in the hospital and in jail like Boonk. And very few and those are just the rappers we know about. Like, think about all the other folks that never made it, right? Think about all the folks that like completely lost everything or like went to jail, got killed. I mean, it's a bunch of rappers that got killed this year. You know what I'm saying? That like many of us never heard of yet. Very few pivot and become the Jay-Z's, right? And the moguls that they just become the Dr. Dre's, right? Very few. The majority of this stuff it's sad. It's really sad. And by the way, Lil Wayne going to jail could potentially save his life, because he's still an addict. Like, he's still, doing some drugs. Clearly he's not in his right state of mind. To all, like, why, what are you doing with a gun? Like, what are you doing with a gun, bro? Why do you have a gun, right? Why do you have a gun? So it's a bummer, but Romans tells us, man, for the wages of sin is death, and I'm not wishing death on anybody. I pray that that Wayne specifically finds the Lord. And when Wayne was in jail last time, I wrote him letters. His address was public, and I wrote him letters and like preaching the gospel to him through letters. I know that sounds cheesy, but like, this, I was like, hey man, he's probably sitting here bored, right? Maybe he'll read my letter, and just telling him about God, telling him about Jesus. This is before I knew Cortez was a Christian and any of that stuff. So it's a super, super sad situation, man. It's a bummer, and it just goes to show that, listen, everything that glistens isn't gold. Everything that you think is cool in the music industry is not popping. And you don't really want that life. You don't really want that life. You think you want that life, but you don't really want that life. And you think you want to be famous, but you don't really want to be famous. You think you want to be that rich, but you don't really want to be that rich. $100 million ain't a lot of money when your overhead is through the roof, right? And you're taking care of hundreds of people. I mean, look, a lot of folks go broke. MC Hammer went broke, right? You guys might be too young to remember that. Ja Rule went broke. A lot of folks go broke. 50 Cent filed for bankruptcy. He said he wasn't really broke, but this stuff happens, So pray for these rappers, yo. Pray for these rappers. Be praying for Lil Wayne. I'll probably write him some more letters. But I ultimately hope that this man changes his mind about this stuff, because this stuff is sad. Like, this stuff is really sad. And what it is more importantly, see, the Lil Waynes then influenced the Boonks to then wild out and be more debaucherous and do bigger stunts to get noticed and for clout. And it just becomes a perpetual cycle, right? It just becomes a perpetual cycle. And so even though we think that things are really bad, there is hope when we have platforms like TikTok and there's Christian influencers thriving on TikTok. When we have platforms like YouTube and there's Christian influencers thriving on YouTube, which is why you should give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. It's actually, I feel like things are getting better, in my opinion. I feel like things are getting better. I think things are progressing. I feel like there's more hope and there's more light than there was 10 years ago, in my opinion, right? So those are some of my thoughts, man. I really do want to hear from you guys, and what do you guys think about this?
King's Dream Entertainment. Ruslan.
of more rappers coming down with RICO charges, crime, all kinds of wildness, potentially facing jail time. Casanova, just a couple, maybe a week or so ago, was on the run for being charged with a conspiracy charge because he was affiliated with a bunch of dudes that were a gang, more or less, and just wildness when you read what these people were affiliated with. They were running the small business loan scams. They were running all kinds of illegal schemes. And Casanova apparently got hit with an illegal firearm as well as being a part of this organization, which is a conspiracy charge. When there's a RICO charge, it's very difficult to beat that. This is why 6ix9ine ended up cooperating. And so Casanova is ultimately probably going to do some serious jail time. He went on the run, came back, turned himself into the FBI, and it just looks wild. But in the reporting of this, a lot of folks were mad at folks like Vlad TV, who I've had my issues with Vlad TV. I've talked about it on the channel before. I think the dude's a complete bozo. But the big idea was, listen, a lot of these rappers are going on and they're more or less self-snitching on themselves, and the FBI is watching. Like, they're watching everything. They're watching all the interviews. They're on Facebook. They're on Instagram. And a lot of these rappers don't got the money you think they have. They don't. They're actually struggling, right? And so Casanova signed to Rock Nation, hanging out with Jay-Z, the glitz, the glam, and he's still involved in criminal activity. That's crazy to think about. You know, but he's not making that much money. And most of these guys who are making money are making it through club appearances. Well, there's not any club appearances going on, right? There's not any club appearances going on, meaning that they're not able to go get the same kind of money that they can get. And so it's just a really, really bizarre time where you got big rappers signed to the biggest companies in the world who are going down for RICO charges, right? Which is what is the case in Casanova. It's super sad, man. And so it looks like he's gonna go down for a while. And then there's a whole question like, is he gonna cooperate? Super complicated. So I wanted to highlight this because I think this is really interesting. This is from the Brilliant Idiots podcast. Shout out to Andrew Scholes and Charlamagne the God. Pretty cool podcast. I don't watch a lot of their stuff, but I think the point they make here is super spot on. And by the way, y'all know how I feel about Vlad TV. Like I talked about it before. I don't even know why folks still go on there. I don't know why folks go on there and talk about open cases, or not open cases, but specifically stuff that they can still get charged for. There's just a lot of really goofy, silly stuff going on right now, and we're gonna see more of this, unfortunately. And again, this is what we talk about. Wisdom will be proven right by her children, right? When Jesus made it clear, right? Wisdom will be proven right by her children. We will know them by their fruit, and the fruit of a godly life is in our best interest. Let's check this out. Let's check this clip out. So this is Andrew Scholes. I think this is around here.
Ski with a helmet on.
I'm about to justify it. I'm about to justify it. So like, what is cool is all the things that actually don't give you a career, don't allow you to make money, and don't give you longevity. Yeah. What I think Jay is, and I bet you all those other people we mentioned as well that you just mentioned have a little bit this in them. They're guys who are actually kind of silly, goofy, nerdy. I bet they're nerdy. They learned how to be cool to operate within a space, but it's their intelligence and their kind of nerdiness that allowed them to have this long career. There are very
I don't even think it's, and I get what you're saying.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I just don't think it's nerdiness though.
You know, maybe we're using different words. I guess what I'm trying to say is
only reason I don't like to say that because I don't want to label things because people shy away from what they consider nerdiness.
That's fair, but like,
you know what I mean?
You consider yourself a nerd for Marvel, right?
Yeah.
I'll consider myself a nerd for comedy. You know what I mean? Like maybe the nerd word is such a bad connotation, but
bro, we're regular.
Yeah, but it's almost like we're regular, but we're also able to look and see what is cool. And I guess what I'm trying to say, especially to like kids who like look up to these like, like, oh, I don't give a fuck personalities, that kind of stuff. It's like, you don't want to aspire to be that because those people don't last ever. The people who last and they have the careers are the people that are smart enough to see what works, lock into it,
come on,
and also utilize that intellect to not get caught up in the clout chase that's gonna end you fucking dead or canceled.
Yeah, you know what?
That's good. That's good, yo. Andrew Scholes is dropping gems, and he opens with the notion that the very stuff we thought was cool, the I don't give a F bravado, I'm a tough guy, I'm a criminal, right? The whole bit. That's the very things that end you on the road to destruction, right? And by the way, I don't think Andrew Scholes is a believer. I don't know if he's Jewish. I'm not sure what he is, right? But that is one of the wisest things that I've ever heard somebody say, that the very things The very things that we think is cool when we're young are the very things that are the complete antithesis to being successful in any industry, let alone entertainment, to having a healthy life, right? This is true universally, by the way. The stuff you think is uncool, like being married, is actually the coolest thing ever, right? And is actually one of the most beneficial institutions for anyone that wants to be a great father, that wants to make more money, that wants to be more stable. Marriage is one of them, right? Not being violent is another one of them, right? Somebody that can't control their emotions, they can't control their anger, right? That's one of them. Self-control, discipline, right? Being restrained. How about the thing that we think, oh, I'm just flipping. I just say what I want. I'm honest. I say what I want. Nah, restraint with your tongue is actually a better attribute. Restraint with your tongue and with your mouth is a much better attribute than being flippant and gossiping and talking nasty about people and always being quick to be confrontational, right? These have real consequences to them, right? And here's the deal. These decisions don't get made in a vacuum, meaning that we think that we can trick off our 20s and be fine. The most important years of your life, by the way, are 18 to 22. That's who you become, and that's what's set up for the next season of your life. And we think that we could trick off 18 to 22, 18 to 25. Now adolescence is pushed out until you're 30. Now it's way more normalized for, kids to live with their parents until they're 30, right? We trick off these years, we go party, we go get drunk, we do all this debauchery, and then we think we're just gonna wake up and be a adjusted, normal human individual by the time we're 30, and now we're gonna just start a family. No. All those habits are gonna follow you. All those bad decisions are gonna follow you. All those poor things are gonna follow you. And some of you guys know this firsthand, right? Some of you guys know this very, 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 very firsthand because you've made some poor decisions. You tricked off your 20s. And what's your responsibility? Hey, tell the generation that's coming after you not to repeat those same mistakes. Tell it. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of what I talk about on this channel is like, I don't want you guys to make the same mistakes I made with money. I don't want you guys to make the same mistakes with not me, the way I didn't deal with my issues, the way I prolonged going to therapy and prolonged all these things. Figure this stuff out early, because if you are living a sloppy life, whether that's partying, whether that's being, sexually immoral, hooking up, whether that's not taking care of your body, like what happens is that stuff compounds. And by compounds, I mean it's a snowball effect. That means it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. No one ever wakes up and says, I think I'm gonna get addicted to drugs today. No one ever wakes up and says, I think I'm gonna be a womanizer today. And that's the trajectory I want my life to be. No one ever wakes up and goes, I think I wanna just become obese. Yeah, I'm gonna be morbidly obese because it's the little things, right? Song of Solomon talks about the little foxes that eat up the garden, right? And it uses a metaphor, it's in the context of marriage, but it talks about the little foxes that'll eat up your garden, and you don't even know what's happening, you don't even know what's coming, but over time, those little foxes, they compound, and they compound, and they compound, and then you wake up and you're like, fam, how did I get here? How did I get here, right? So the moral of the story is, first of all, let's not look at rappers and entertainers as the moral high ground or the standard of who we should aspire to be, even with regards to success, right? Even with regards to success, because Proverbs, there's a verse in Proverbs that says, hey, an inheritance obtained too early in life is not a blessing in the end. If you get the majority of your life's income in your 20s, that's not going to be a blessing to you in your 30s because you don't know how to handle money in your 20s. You have no experience yet, right? Most people don't make the peak. Their income doesn't peak until their 40s and their 50s. If you made all the peak of your money because you're a rapper or you're an athlete in your 20s, that we shouldn't even envy that. Like the scriptures are clear, don't envy sinners, but from a logical standpoint, right? From a logical standpoint, that's just not good, right? Like you don't want to be rich at 25. You want to know how to handle money and then get rich, right? And granted, maybe some of us are raised in homes where our parents drilled in financial literacy. We know how to handle money, and it's like we're set up to handle money. But if you don't know how to handle money, if you don't know how money works, you don't want to get rich at an early age, right? If you don't know how food works, if you don't know how what sugar does to your body, if you don't know too many carbohydrates in your body, you don't want to have infinite access to food, right? The access to excess. I talk about it all the time. Access to excess, right? We're one of the few countries where historically people have died of starvation. In our context, people die of obesity. People die of too much food. We eat ourselves to death, right? And this is real. Like rich people, poor people, whoever. So we got to really take a serious inventory of our heart and say, listen, can you start to make decisions today, right? Forget New Year's resolutions today. What is it? It's December 14th. Can you start making the little incremental changes today so that your next 5 years are better, so that your next decade is better? See, that's the thing about successful people is they think in decades. They don't think in months and weeks and years. They're thinking decades ahead, right? Can you make the little decisions today so that you're never in one of these situations where you got to do some illegal activity, you got to make some bad choices, or you wake up and you're in debt, or you wake up and you're very overweight. Now you got to dig yourself out of a hole just to get to like neutral and then build your life on top of that, right? You want to start your life and then build up. And I understand there's people here, all different types of walk. I got a wild past, because you guys know about my Exposed series. Make good decisions, guys. Don't envy sinners. Don't be jealous of these rappers. They're not happy, okay? And a lot of what you think they have, they don't really have, right? They're broke. That's why some of them are still in the streets and doing goofy stuff. And they're signed to Jay-Z. Like, gosh, this Casanova situation is super sad. You know what I'm saying? The fact that Lil Wayne caught a gun charge is super sad, man. And so I'm really believing and praying that there's a revival through media. That's why I'm on here, right? That's why I'm on here. Like, I'm not going to go into politics. I don't care, right? I'm on here because I feel like this is the best way for me right now to how I could influence people, right? The best way I could influence people with my personal junk and you guys avoiding some of my mistakes, and also the trajectory where my life is going and where I hope to take more people. So let me know what y'all think about that. I know that's some heavy stuff, man, but I appreciate you guys, man.
King's Dream Entertainment.
Last topic. Hey, so yesterday I did a video about Pastor Michael Todd, his generosity. I thought it was dope. And towards the end of the video, we actually talked about Matthew chapter 6. Some of you guys missed it, and I wanted to jump back into this conversation. If you guys don't know, Transformation Church gave away $3 million yesterday. They do it every year. It's a part of them giving back. And my impression of it was like, yo, this is good. I think this is what we should be known by in terms of Christian, our generosity. And some of you guys pushed back, and you weren't like nasty about it, but you guys pushed back in terms of the passage in Matthew 6. So I wanted to read Matthew 6. I wanted to give you guys my thoughts, on how some of this works. It's most of what I've said yesterday. But let's check this out. Matthew chapter 6 verse 1. So again, context, Pastor Mike Todd, Transformation Church gave away millions of dollars in cars, houses, just to nonprofits, charities, all kinds of cool stuff. I thought it was super, super dope. But again, some people are like, what about Matthew 6? So let's read Matthew 6. All right, here we go. Matthew 6. Beware of practicing your righteousness before other people in order to be seen by them, for then you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. Thus, when you give to the needy, sound no trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the streets, that they may be praised by others. Truly I say to you, they have received their reward. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. That's a good passage. I like that passage. I agree with that passage. If you guys can just notice, I don't put my giving out there. I don't share everything I do behind the scenes. I don't share everything I do with my money. And I live by this passage. Here's what I think in two ways that I think is important. One, we do see Paul in the New Testament affirming other churches' generosity, encouraging how generous this church was, and bragging about different churches and their generosity. I don't know exactly why he did it. I think he did it because he wanted other people to be generous. I think he did it because he wanted to build a Christian culture of generosity, right? And it says some churches gave out of their poverty and some churches gave out of their abundance, right? And he talks about like sacrificial giving, and it's I believe it's in Corinthians. So we do see examples of that. I think with specifically Michael Todd, yes, it's flashy, it's over the top, right? It could come off as a show, and in a lot of ways, it probably is a show. I mean, it is a live stream, right? They're doing a live stream for the world to see, for the people to see. I think the difference is that they're doing this not in the name of Mike Todd. They're doing this in the name of Transformation Church, and they're doing this in the name of Jesus. And there's a consistent give it up for the Lord. We're doing this for the name of Jesus. Like there's almost every single time it was praise the Lord, give the Lord the clap. I need you guys to praise the Lord. I need you guys to praise the Lord. So I don't, I think that's one way to look at it, in my opinion, is that it's a bit different when it's, hey, Ruslan, look at me. I'm giving money away. Guys, pay attention to me because I'm a good Christian, right? Yes, I don't think we should be doing that. But when it's in the name of an organization, when it's in the name of church, does it change this? Is Jesus talking about churches? Is Jesus talking about generosity? A generosity of individuals or generosity of churches, right? It sounds like he's talking about individuals, but maybe it does apply to churches. I don't know, right? But I will say this. It says here, even if it is talking about churches, right? Even if it is talking about churches, it does say this here. It says, let's go back to this passage. So Matthew 6, verse 2 says, thus when you give to the needy, sound no trumpet before you as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets that they may be praised by others. Truly I say to you, they have received their reward. And that's another thing is, well, maybe Transformation Church and Michael Todd have received their reward, right? And maybe their reward is, hey, we get to build a generous culture, a generous church, and we get to inspire people by our giving. They give back 10% of what they take in, they give it back. And we want to build that type of culture here, and we want people to then take that. And maybe that's the reward. Maybe their reward is, hey, we get to have a very generous, prosperous church. Their tithe is up. They give away $3 million. That means their budget is $30 million. If that's 10%, that's a massive budget for a church, guys. Like it's a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? A $30 million organization with no taxes, some serious cash, And so I think I hear both sides. I understand both sides. I like the idea of training people and showing people the benefits of giving. I think that's good. I think we need more of that. And I stand by my statement that we should be known by the things we're for. I will not back down from that, okay? So if you are known, somebody was like, yeah, I'm known as stingy by my friends. Your non-Christian friends know you as stingy? I don't know. I don't think that's lit, right? Your non-Christian friends think of you as a jerk? I don't know. I don't think that's cool. Like, I think our non-Christian friends, I think our Christian friends, I think our family should know us as the most generous people in their life, the most gracious, the most compassionate, the most patient, the most loving people in their life. I don't think that, I'm standing by that. I'm not backing down from that. Does Matthew 6 apply to Michael Todd? Maybe, if you wanted to. And even if it does, well, maybe they already got their reward. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they already got their reward. And maybe they're cool with that. Maybe they want to build a culture where they're cool with that. And hey, let them have at it. I don't have no problem with it specifically. I'm still trying to figure out what your guys' issues are with Michael Todd's theology, because some of you guys keep saying he does this and he does that, but no one's actually providing like clips or quotes with rebuttals according to scripture. I haven't seen that, but I'm open to it. And I'm open to having Michael Todd on the channel too. At this rate, likelihood somebody from the church or somebody from the circle is seeing some of these videos. So shout out to Transformation Church. But what do you guys think?
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.
Advice for teenagers. Hey, learn useful skills. Hear me loud and clear. Learn useful skills. If you have trauma, if you have people that have sinned against you, work out your trauma early. Work out your junk. Learn useful skills. Put your faith in Jesus first and foremost, and understand how to live his ways. Like really try to dig into what is Jesus' heart for how you would date? What is Jesus' heart for the type of employee you would be? What is Jesus' heart for the type of son or daughter you would be? Like really try to understand God's ways in today's climate. Like look at those verses for the different areas of your life and ask God to consistently reveal himself to you and to make you wise. That would be my advice to teenagers. I know that was like super short. Pick up a trade. Amen. Thank you. Right? Yes. Make yourself useful. Make yourself useful. Make yourself useful. So we don't have enough of that. All right. Hey, real quick, I'm going to do one last story here because I think this is actually really cool. Let's check this out.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.
In another victory against the conglomerate known as Pornhub, yesterday Pornhub purged all unverified content, and it appears that MasterCard and Visa both pulled back from letting their cards be used on the website. Now, this is massive. If you guys saw this, it was trending on Twitter. I thought this was amazing. As somebody that comes from sexual trauma, as someone that comes from porn addiction, I thought this was a huge win that they've pulled millions of videos, that big organizations like MasterCard and Visa pulled them. And why did this happen? Why did this happen? It happened for a variety of reasons, but primarily because they found out that there was all kinds of sketchy stuff happening tied in to Pornhub. Everything from trafficking to revenge porn, to all kinds of wild stuff, rape that is going on Pornhub, and Pornhub's not taking the time to verify these videos the way YouTube will in terms of identity, the way YouTube will in terms of demonetizing stuff, right, and pulling stuff all the time. So this is actually a big win, I think, for everybody. But notice that the way this came together, I'm gonna pull up some of the quotes from this Vice article. It says Pornhub is removing all its videos. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Pornhub is removing all its videos on its site that weren't uploaded by official content partners or members of its model program, meaning a significant portion of its videos will be torn down. It says breaking Pornhub is nuking all unverified content. To be clear, Pornhub just deleted 60% of all videos on one of the largest porn sites on the internet by flipping a switch. That is insane. That's crazy, right? Update, number of videos all over the place. Started 13 million, went down to 6 million, 4.8 million. So there's all kinds of stuff that went down. Appears to have 6 to 8 million videos removed. How did this happen? How did this happen? It happened for a lot of reasons, a lot of social pressure, but specifically I did a video about the New York Times writing a scathing article on Pornhub, primarily on a couple of these issues that, again, Christian, non-Christian, atheists, we should all gather under these just, I would say, common grace, common moral issues. And it was specifically, hey, there's stuff on there regarding to rape, child trafficking, right, and all kinds of devious behavior that they're responsible for with being on their platform. And the New York Times wrote this article, and all of a sudden, when folks in that world, when folks in the what we would call the left or the liberal world, the media started speaking up, and it wasn't just Christians and conservatives, it was actually folks, New York Times writing op-eds, all of a sudden things started moving. And so why am I talking about this? Guys, we're in this world, but we're not of it. What does that mean? That means that when there are common issues that we can find common ground with people that are not saved, with people that have different political ideologies, we need to be intentional about, one, how we articulate these issues so that they see it as a win-win, and also being willing to reach across the aisle and connect with people that we may disagree on a lot of stuff, but man, we could all agree that, yo, trafficking is not dope. Pimp is not dope. Pimping is not dope, right? Like kids getting molested is not dope. Like, these things are universally wrong. And I think sometimes Christians will be so insulated and focused on, hey, this is a sin, instead of saying, hey, no, this is affecting people in a negative way. The fact that there's kids being exposed to Pornhub at a very early age. Like someone like myself, I was exposed to porn at 5. They're saying the age that someone sees porn for the first time is younger and younger nowadays. This stuff is wild, and it's good that the tide is turning. And again, 2020 is the year of folks getting exposed, and Pornhub got exposed. I mean, there's a pun there, right? It literally got exposed, right? Literally got exposed. So I think this is a great victory. Somebody asked me, hey, tips on how to conquer porn, right? I think we first have to understand that porn is an overflow of lust, and lust is a sin of the heart first and foremost. Then it becomes a sin of the mind. Then it becomes a sin of the eyes, right? And so lust is similar to like coveting after something. It's similar to like a jealousy. It's like an unquenchable desire. And so I think we have to go to the root of where that lust is coming from. That it's somewhere deep in your heart. Maybe you were victimized, right? Maybe there was something that happened to you at an early age. Maybe you were exposed and you saw some stuff that you shouldn't have seen early on. So it's in your heart, and then it goes to your thoughts, right? And then it's like, ooh, I want to see something that's appealing to me so that I can get that dopamine release. And so I want to be clear. When it comes to lust, it is not an overnight process. Not for me anyway. For some of you guys, it might be that it is it's a heart transformation. It's a heart transformation, especially if you're coming from sexual trauma. You're probably going to have to get some type of therapy, get some type of counseling, get like work through that stuff. I did a course called Men's Skills. I read a book called Every Young Man's Battle, Every Man's Battle. I had accountability. I've done the software, and it was a very long journey. And it's lust is not one of those things that you ever just like conquer, right? Like it can flare up if you're not careful with what you watch on TV. It could, with what you're scrolling on Instagram, you can that could quickly flare up on you, and even if you think you've conquered it. So you got to be really mindful. I give you guys the tip all the time. Go through your Internet Explorer page, hit the top right corner. There's 3 little dots, and you can hide posts you don't want to see. You can literally just click right click there, hide, and it'll purge your Explorer page. Same thing with your YouTube. You could click on your YouTube and says, I'm not interested in this, right? If you're seeing sketchy stuff on YouTube. If you look at my Explorer page, there's no women on my Explorer page. Not that I like hate women. I just don't want to see that, right? I don't want to see any beautiful women. The only beautiful women I really care to see every day is my wife, and like my family, right? And so I have to be very deliberate. I have to be very intentional. Music too. Yes, I cannot listen to hypersexualized music, right? I have never heard WAP. Believe it or not. I've never heard the song WAP. Never heard it. Never heard it. I have no idea what it sounds like. No idea. As soon as I heard about it and I saw the marketing, I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm good. Not for me. Yeah. Sensual R&B music, R. Kelly. I can't do that kind of stuff. I mean, R. Kelly, nobody's really doing R. Kelly anymore, but like really nasty, raunchy R&B music. I can't do it. And so you have to know your own triggers. You have to know where you're at. And the last thing I'll leave you with is getting on a routine. Me getting up at the same time every day, going to bed at the same time every day. First of all, eliminates that idle time that I would have being up late, right? So it eliminates that. And changing my diet. You have to change. Guys, hear me. You got to channel that testosterone into something. Right, that got to get channeled into something. And if you're not married, and you don't get to enjoy the blessing of sex yet, you got to channel into something, man. So why not get fit? Why not, get in shape? That to me really, when I really found freedom, like I mean true freedom, is when I started taking care of my body. I started going to bed at a reasonable hour. I'm talking 10:30 at the latest. I started waking up earlier. I started going to the gym, and I got a whole video. About leptin levels from broccoli, and I think broccoli helps me. If I'm always eating broccoli, I'm always satiated. If I'm always satiated, I tend to crave less stuff. If I'm craving less stuff, I don't know. I feel more in control of my choices, and prayer and accountability. So it's a process. It's a process, and it takes time, and it takes like discipline. How do you find the discipline? How do you find the motivation? It has to come from God first and foremost. Like God has to convict you on it. And then for me, and it's gonna sound weird, I had like the heart change, but for me, I got angry. And I knew I didn't want to remain the same. I knew I didn't want to remain fat, right? In 2017, 2018, I was a fat boy. You guys could go look, right? Some of my earlier videos, I was fat. I knew I didn't want to be fat. I knew I didn't want to be addicted. I knew I didn't want to, I knew I didn't want to remain the same person. And I had to get angry. I had to get angry at myself. I had to I had to create opportunities for me to get angry. Get on the scale, check your body fat. Look at yourself without your shirt on. You know what I'm saying? Take a picture of yourself with that. Something becomes real. And so for me, it was a holistic, like body, right? Like a holistic change. So I controlled my mind. I got to the heart through counseling and through prayer and through the Lord. I controlled my mind through my thought life. And then I had to do some physical work. And it was hard. And it still is hard. I have to be very intentional, guys. I got to be very intentional with my thoughts. I constantly checking my thoughts, constantly quoting scripture over myself. I've made a covenant with my eyes to not look at a woman lustfully. That's Job 31, I believe, right? You have to like really, 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 really drive that stuff deep. And so anyway, man, hopefully that's helpful. I think this is a victory against Pornhub, and hopefully this has encouraged you guys, those of you guys that do struggle with us. Maybe I'll do a longer video about this later on the road, but it really is a mind, body, soul, spirit type of situation. It is not a well, just stop. That's not how addiction works. That ain't how if you ain't never been addicted to something, that's like one of the worst things you could tell somebody. Dog, just stop. Way more complicated than that. And sometimes you just don't got no tangible tactics, and you need some help. So I've done it all, you know, and God's been good. God's been faithful. God's been faithful. So thank you guys for watching.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.
I saw my mama smile through the silhouette. Sunshine and all. But she don't know that I still feel like we ain't made it yet. No, I ain't lying at all. I remember walking back from grocery stores and she would carry me sore. Muscles didn't mean a thing, we just had to see this thing through. And now she got bad hips and needs to replaced. I wonder if I walk